welcome to a new Fix Your Art. So this is Yukiko's art piece, and as you can see it's a reference piece. We're going to fix all of the poses that you see here and give feedback on all of them. So this will be a little bit of a big video. So I wasn't able to bring Yukiko here to explain the things that they find wrong on this picture or the things that they would like to improve. So I'll go ahead and give a general feedback on the whole thing. So first I'm gonna copy and paste this image into a new layer. And let's start with this pose. Overall, the anatomy has something really good, like the body proportions are correct, the sizing of things are correct. There are only a few things I'll adjust. Let's start with the same as always step, which is bringing down opacity, so I can draw more accurate stickman to referring to the main pose that we have here. So by doing this, we can imagine the character without the clothing and hair pieces that could disguise some mistakes. We may not see them with these things on top. So now that we can see what the base pose is, we may be able to see some mistakes that were invisible as much in a full drawing. First of all, I can notice that the head is quite small. I'm guessing that this character is a female because I have drawn her myself before in the past, and I know for sure it's a female, which has very feminine proportions. So something I noticed already is that the head size is quite small for a female. Something that's also happening here is that the neck is also being very thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix these issues. Something else I noticed, it's the arm position. I mean the shoulders, they are a little bit too wide apart, which they could be a little smaller too because of the head size. Usually the shoulders are around one head, so you can use your head to know which parts should be some specific size and such. Other than that, the pose is really good. I would just go ahead with the details next. So now that we have our main pose fixed, I'm gonna go ahead and adapt the sizes to our main stickman. Something I have taught you all in the past was about inward and outward lines. They give a specific way of shape to the body parts. For example, usually the shoulder, it's an outward line, followed by an inward line in the case of a female, or followed by a outer line by a male. So if we want a delicate look, you're gonna give her an outward line for the shoulder and then an inward line for the rest of the arm. Something I also noticed is that the face proportions are a little bit off. If we want to give it a really feminine look, we may want to go ahead and give her bigger eyes. We will also accommodate them to the face. We also want to make the nose go a little bit lower, like this, and maybe a smaller nose. I don't want to change the style of the artist, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that everything from the original art is kept as much as possible, as my main goal is not to change any art style whatsoever. We're also gonna change a little bit of the mouth shape. And we are gonna fix a little bit of the head shape. I think the head shape is also a little bit too rough, so I'm gonna make it more delicate and soft. I will also add a little bit more volume to the hair by making a few more strokes. I always recommend that this part of the eyes are either very thin lines or a line similar to the skin color, so they don't distract you too much. It would really depend on your style. I also recommend that the irises also don't have a thick line, but we're gonna leave them like that as it could be a stylistic choice. We're gonna make the nose a little bit smaller too, even more than it was already. As I think and I believe that the main artist wanted to do art, anime and manga art style. Because of how I fixed the eyes, the iris got positioned weirdly, and I also, I think the eyebrows are pretty much okay. This way of the eyebrows make her look a little bit evil, but I think that that's fine. It will really depend on what you want. If you would like it to look a little bit more serene, you could try making them a little bit more neutral. You can already see a lot of change already. I will also go ahead and give more of that rave look right here by making it look more straight. Then here I wouldn't make this line as much noticeable as possible because of the pose. The boob usually come from this part of the body, so it should be somewhere there. Also, something I noticed is that the boobs are too high up. They could be a little bit lower. Because she's looking sideways, there's not much need for the boob to kind of go this way. The arm would also be showing more. When you go sideways, your arm becomes on top of your body, like right here. So because of the pose and angle she is on, the arm practically will be on top of the dress. Here is another inward line. This hand is pretty much okay. I would only recommend not making the fingers the same size and also adding a little bit of softness. They look a little bit tight as if it was a punch shape, right? So I would make them a little bit more loose and less similar to one each other. We also have to know that if you want a fragile look or a very feminine look, you may want to do really thin fingers. I still think that they may look a little bit too thick for what we may want to accomplish. Something like that. Then we may want to give it a more loose hairstyle. I'm also going to make her whole head, her whole face more inside her head, kind of like this. And I want to make thinner strokes for the hair as well. Also because her head, the part behind her head is kind of like this. We always have our brain like this, and this is where our neck usually starts. So I'm gonna draw that part right now. Also notice that one of the ears is bigger than the other, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix that. Usually the one that's closer to our perspective should be bigger. And usually this one would be more covered up than the other one because of the perspective. Because the ears are usually located around this part. So if they were a cone, this is how, if they had a middle and the cone, this is where the outside part would be than the inside part. I'm gonna make the fluff a little bit more round to give it that soft look. Maybe this ear is still a little bit too big, so I'm gonna make her a little smaller. There we go. I'm gonna fix this part of the hair that got modified because of our adjustments. You may use a thick thin pressure brush to add softer strokes to the hair, and then you may add a liner to it. It might help with the softness of the hair. Also, so some hair seems to be on the back. I'm gonna make sure that shows here. Usually when we want to shade our boobs, we want to follow that roundness. And we want to give shines as well. I tend to give a little bit of blush, and I also really personally like giving like a light blue eyeshadow to this character. Is something really personal touch. I still think that the face looks a little bit too rough, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep adjusting that. We're also going to give her a more solid look at her rib cage. I think this will make her look a little bit too feminine. It's something that really depends on the commissioner if they want to do it on the nose. elbows usually point outside and not inward. On this part, I'm gonna make these lines pop up a little bit as if they were there three-dimensionally. Some little details like this give a special look to the overall image. Now this arm, I think it may be a little bit too long, like this, and also it looks a little bit strange on the inward outline look. Maybe it has two outward lines when it could be a little bit more delicate and then with an inward line like this. The clothes here, there would be a small fold when the clothing rests on something. Usually there is a fold that shows it, and it wouldn't start specifically there. It will be a little bit further and it will be more straight. Now the leg could be fixed a little bit into this. It's something I think will give it a more human look. It looks a little bit too thick on certain areas and some other don't, and that doesn't give a final balance to the overall picture. And the shoe may be a little bit too small and it needs a little bit more of studding. I think that the shoes are some kind of lighter blue and not so white, so I'm gonna make them a little bit more light blue. I'm also gonna add a little bit of fur to this tail. There we go. Now you can compare the old look with the new look. I'm gonna finish this look over here, making the knee, just like the elbow, point outward. Is part of the skeleton and how it looks like on the body's skin. There we go. We can also fully shade this part as it's completely underneath. There we go. I made it more symmetrical to the other leg. Now you could also add a little bit of shines. I still think that the shoe is still too small. That looks better.